Scranton Reads, 2008. The Maltese Falcon.
Welcome. Welcome to the fourth and final talk in our series on Dashiell Hammett's The Maltese Falcon for this year's Scranton Reads program. As you can guess from our faux Hollywood set here at Marywood University's Fine Media Arts Center, we will devote this talk to The Maltese Falcon in the movies. From the time it was first published, this novel seemed destined for a film adaptation. The objective narrative, with its detailed descriptions, and the forward-leaning mystery plot, with its ironic ending, already read like a movie script, many thought. It was not surprising then when Warner Brothers Studio bought the adaptation rights very soon after the book was published. The first film version, released in 1931, demonstrated, however, that translation to the screen would not be a slam dunk or a no-brainer process. The lack of conventionally sympathetic characters and the striking but very plentiful dialogue prompted the adapters to make all sorts of changes in plot, character, and dialogue, and the resulting film was not a success. Warner Brothers tried again in 1936 with the title change this time to Satan Met a Lady, and featuring, among others, Bette Davis, then one of the studio's hottest stars. But that screen team fared no better than the one in 1931. In fact, some reviewers declared that Satan Met a Lady justified Bette Davis's celebrated rebellion against the inferior projects her bosses required her to do. Finally, however, in 1941, they tried again, and this time Warner's gave their hot young writer, John Huston, the chance not only to do the script, but also to be the director. He made the simple but essential decision to stay as close as possible to Hammett's plot, characters, and dialogue. Of course, some trimming and clarification were necessary, and Huston did make some 25 strategic changes. However, he retained large swaths of Hammett's dialogue, and he also followed Hammett's lead in the development of the characters. In a memoir published years later, Mary Astor, who played Bridget O'Shaughnessy, recalled that Huston's script was very detailed. Each shot was specified, and each camera setup was meticulously sketched or storyboarded before Huston ever called action. There was no improvisation on this shoot. For the most part, the scenes were even shot in sequence, which was and is very unusual in filmmaking. Sidney Greenstreet, an experienced stage actor who was making his screen debut in this film, was nervous when the shooting started, but he and the rest of the cast quickly realized that they were doing interesting, unusual work in this picture, and they enjoyed the process and the camaraderie among themselves hugely, especially since they, and Huston, successfully discouraged nosy, interfering people from the studio or the Hays office censors from visiting. They were so efficient that they were often able to finish the morning's work early and enjoy long, leisurely lunches at a posh golf club nearby. They even had time for some pranks. Huston arranged for his father, the distinguished actor Walter Huston, to do a brief cameo role as the ship captain who lurches into Spade's office carrying the Falcon, but then collapses to the floor and dies. It was a simple scene that should have been knocked off in less than an hour, but director Huston deliberately made his father do multiple takes, asking him to do his entrance a little differently, or complaining that he missed his mark for the fall, time after time. When he was finally told that they had it now and he could go home, the elder Houston was in a foul mood, which returned instantly the next day when John Houston had Mary Astor, pretending to be Houston's secretary, telephone Walter Houston to say that the film from yesterday had been ruined in the lab and he would need to come in again to do it over. He bellowed into the receiver, which Miss Astor held so that everybody on the set could hear, "You tell my son to get another actor or go to hell." In the midst of the fun, however, cast and crew were challenging themselves professionally. One setup, for example, required the camera to move in and out of rooms, down a hall, to boom up and boom down, and to pan back and forth several times, 22 movements in all, without interruption.